Good evening. So it's about 7:05 Eastern time on Tuesday night, January 8th. And I'm going to try to do a bit of a review here and do something new. And that's to sort of do a pre-market for the overnight. We'll see. This video might go long because I'm going to take some time to combine both of them. The most important part, for now, unless you're interested, is the review of today. So we're on the daily chart here, and excuse me. Sorry, we got a helicopter coming by here, and a little bit distracting. So what we're looking at is we closed today. These are regular trading hour sessions. We gapped up a little bit, almost 10 points, but closed pretty close to where we opened. So what's that tell us? Well, there's still buyers in the market. Not a lot changed, but probably, again, the most important takeaway here, now this has changed since I drew this earlier, but we have a bit of divergence here, even if it's like this. We've got a we got to move up here. Okay, one thing I'll tell you is that I trust all my levels are the same, all my areas are the same, but I had a computer crash here earlier, and thankfully they all look like they're there. I haven't compared it to the prior video. It all looks pretty good. But the reason I say that is I remember drawing this on here earlier and then drawing another one out here as well. So we've got this divergence between, higher highs, higher lows, and the volume is dropping off. I'd say this volume today, it's about even with yesterday. It's a little more, but it's about even. Now, why it's colored red, let me move this, is because it should be lower, but I don't know why it looks just slightly higher to me. All right, so let me move this back, and we'll move on. I'm just kind of dialing into, the mood of this at this time of night. I'm not usually wanting to think about this or look at it this way. Coming in tomorrow, we'll talk about that tomorrow. I can see us continuing higher yet without any kind of move down towards this moving average, but I can also see that happening. Another important thing to consider is that we have I talked about this earlier, is that there's this balance area here. There's 30 days. This doesn't need to be gray. Blue. Blue, if you watch any of my videos, I've been using that for support areas and all that kind of stuff. So this is, I wish I could get it exactly on that. Yeah, maybe that's just close enough. As you can see, we just peaked over this big sideways mountain of volume here, and we've come back into it. Now that would, unless we hold above it in the overnight, it's looking to me that we're going to come back down to the other side, and we might be a little bit range bound, even if it's just for a day. Not sure. I haven't looked at the news for tomorrow or anything yet. We'll do that a little bit later. But I wanted to do the review. So coming back here to, okay, got one problem. These drawings translate over there, so I'm going to hide this. Let's see. I don't want you to get the idea that all my videos are going to be, 30, 45 minutes long, but occasionally they will be. I really want my pre-markets to be 5 minutes per market, what I'm doing. Let's see here. There we go. But, I'm doing a new thing here. Now, I believe all these areas are the same against my other video. A couple of them that were, well, I think all their, let's see. No, I guess all the ones that were blue are still blue, and the ones that were red. I did change during the day. I changed these to red, but now we're back above it, so I guess it can remain blue. But I want to take it step by step and just demonstrate a couple things to help anyone that's watching this to see what these areas are all about, and the reliability of what we got here. Now, it's no secret method or anything like that. It's just been experience and just a number of other things. Let's see, split them out. Okay. So I talked in the video that this would be an area that we might let's see, was it this one? Okay, went up. Well, both of these gray areas that when we got in them, we might rotate within them. And we did. Now it's harder to see on a 30-minute bar chart, but you can see where when we were in this area, we rotated in it. We sort of rotated in it. Now it looks like we just kind of went right through it, but that's not how it played out on a smaller time frame. And there's plenty of room to pick up some points in there. So I can't recall exactly. I talked in some earlier reviews how the day went a little bit, but you can see that didn't get much past this area of potential resistance. At first, it was exactly resistance because I was trying to get short at 79, but it came to 78, 75. I was not filled, went without me. Came down here, and that was the low of A, was right here, just above this blue edge here. B, I think I came back in and talked about how this rotated, and like it looks like it just opened and went straight up to here and straight down to here. Well, that's not how it played out. And if you look at the smaller time frame, it undulates through here. It came back up. There was a good short against the edge, and so on and so forth. And the same thing happened as it was going up. And we'll look at the smaller time frame in a second. I think that's going to be the best way to show it. But I do want to point out. Let me make this bigger so we can see it. So, B period came down. It found its low in here, and I talked about that in the video. You can see right here, I'm just going to point these out. F, which opened down here when it was up here. Let's say you had shorted against this. Now, at that point, this would have been turned red and so forth because you're below it. To again, look at what was once support, now might be resistance. And you wouldn't have taken a lot of heat here, and you could have taken this all the way down. Again, it's always fun to see all the money would have left on the table. I have not, you could have taken it down to here. Hopefully wouldn't let it come back that far against you and then come back down again. You'd take another short up here. And even possibly along against the edge here. Now, it all looks great in retrospect. We all know that. It all looks easy, and it's not. And you don't know what's going to happen. But I'm just showing that these areas mattered. And sometimes they're very exact. Like with the, and sometimes an area the first time it's not, it's traffic through and it came back, and you could say, well, an area's gone through and it shouldn't matter anymore. But why does the market respect that level again? For what reason? Well, in this case, part of the reason this was drawn was there a pivot point here. Okay, there was the prior day's high here, and so on. There's also this little area of just 3 ticks, but a lot of volume was traded here. Yeah, was it traded through there a couple times before, going down and going up? Yeah, but when it came back up, liken it to musicians, they riff off of something. So you could look at it that way. So, traded down from here. The H, like G, came through this blue area, but H, if you would have tried along there, that worked. Worked really well. Again, the top, like if you're going long against top edge of one of these things, that's a lot more aggressive, and this is less aggressive. But this also is in the middle of this wider balance area where we know that the potential is for it to go to the other side of the balance. So then when H came up, it stopped right under this yellow line I put in here, which I said was a go, no go level. Bearish below and bullish above. We come back over here and we look at I period, went right up to the top of this, right on the money, man, right on the money. And then look, right next to that is J. When J's high came up there, just a tick over, just took the stops and I, okay. J riffed off of this level, riffed off the pivot point area again. K, the top of this level, okay. Even if you would have shorted K, just trying to catch rotations, didn't take a lot of heat here. Now L, you might have gotten wiped out if you shorted here. And again, I don't remember all the price action here. I was not trading at that time, but same thing if you'd tried to grab it here. But had you, for watching other market dynamics, now this can be a standalone tool. You could look at these areas as a standalone and just have your own system. But if you're looking at other things that help you gauge and judge whether an area is going to hold, whether it's buyers are stepping in, whether they're going to stuff sellers, you know, all these kinds of dynamics. You might have found a good long here because you're going to figure if they're coming back down here, they're going to take out the, you know, anybody who's got stops down below J. They're going to knock them out. This held, and then boom, look, this one went all the way up. If you would have traded, you know, if you determined that it's going to keep moving up, you could have gone long against the edge of this. Now, I'm not saying, I mean, again, this makes it look like, oh, you could just be ringing a cash register all day long. We all know it doesn't work like that. But with enough experience and enough for the right tools and the right setting and the right frame of mind, probably should have put that first. The right frame of mind, a focus, comprehension, understanding. Every single one of these things surely was tradable. Okay, now come into the overnight. How about that? Overnight low is now this area I drew at like 7:30, 7:45 this morning. Now, why is that? Well, so right now in the overnight, we're one time framing higher. But anyway, that's what I wanted to show you is, you know, these, let's look down here. So didn't even get down here yet. Well, I think we did talk about the D low being exactly in the edge, and the E low as well would have been tradable from here. We had a good low in C. Now, had you gone aggressively and had your stop below here, to me, that's, you know, it's kind of a lot to risk, but look at the potential upside, you know, look at the potential upside if you'd held some. If you would have gone aggressively in this brighter blue area, you would have taken a point of heat. If your stop was in there, you'd have been stopped out, you know, you'd have had a 5-tick stop and just, you know, we're going to get long on this naked TPOC. Now, I didn't like it, and I think I mentioned it because I'm not sure I mentioned it because of this low. In fact, it would have been better. You know, it might have been smarter for me when I drew this earlier. I'm going to put this back to 46.50. Would have been better had I used the K low, right? That would have just let you know that they may want to get whatever stops might be below here, and they didn't. Let me move it back. You know, I'm not perfect. I'm not saying that was wrong to do it like this, but you know, you might not have thought to put your stop here. In fact, especially if you close the profiles. Now, I've got a problem here. I don't know why this is not. I want to collapse this. So if I collapse this and I collapse them all, then hang on. Now, don't forget, we got all these places that the market is likely going to be revisiting here in the near future. My hand's going to sleep here. Okay, so let me okay, all right. So now let's see. I'm not sure what the pink line is here. I don't like that. Let me make it bigger anyway. So, you know, we figure we might take out the overnight low here. I remember that was part of it. And I think I must have had it collapse, and that's why I didn't notice the K low. I'd have to see the video. I don't remember, but I just don't know what this C low is unless it's the low for going into tomorrow. It must be, but it doesn't say overnight low over here. I don't know why it's got a pink bar. So don't ask me. Any rate, you know, I personally, and again, depending how this came down, and I did not trade this. I don't believe I did. No, I didn't trade this. I didn't trade this here. I don't think. You know, it's just the day becomes a blur, right? You go back. But at any rate, I would have wanted to try it right on this line here, right on the TPOC, because again, I used to be a tick ahead tick because I hated not getting filled. But because we're going to take out the stops of this overnight low, it's going to come anywhere from 1 tick to even 8 or 10 ticks through it. But typically with TPOCs, they get hung up around them, even if they may, you know, I mean, there's many times, sure, they can steamroll right through them, but there's usually a little chop around it. And if there's no more follow through, well, back up we go and back into the overnight range. And once we're back in the overnight range, you might get a little fight, but sometimes there's, you know, you get sucked right back up. And that's kind of what happened here, it looks like, you know. So anyway, I just wanted to demonstrate how that, most of the times I've made videos and things, you just see it in the day. And if you've not drawn these on your own chart, you don't really know how they play out and how they're useful throughout the day. Doesn't mean they're perfect, doesn't mean it always works like this, but it's helpful to have them there. Now you can see in the overnight, well, is this a place to short? Well, one thing to consider is that we are now one time framing up in the overnight. We've got a double distribution. It looks like they built out a little volume in here. I think it's interesting how that little range of volume is exactly what this little red area is showing. So will it hold? I don't know. Overnights tend to have rotational areas. So we're back into today's value area. The gray is the volume value area. So let's see. I mean, I don't really normally make an overnight plan, but I really want to start doing that, because who wouldn't want to put a one lot on and wake up, to a nice Christmas present. Or another business I was in, we call it mailbox money. I'll call it that, mailbox money, not Christmas present. We just passed Christmas. So, yeah, I don't know. So what I'd like to do now, we've seen all this, is that we're going to try to look at some other areas, make some other areas. So where are we trading right now? Don't forget, we got this poor high still up here at 2605. Okay, we're right here. Now I put this little red area here partly because there was this divot of no interest, So that's not what I want. This, and see. Now these are kind of close together, and I'm not exactly liking that, but sometimes the overnight structure is weird. So this is going to be kind of one of those balance areas. So I know one thing we didn't do. If this wasn't so far away, I would kind of make this a gray area too. I hesitate to make this whole thing gray because there's a lot of selling in here before it may be defended. Well, I can do both. As the little taco girl says, why not both? So, all right, now this may be a lot of clutter for some people, but sometimes it gets like that, and that's just part of the deal. So balance areas, let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about that for a minute. I want to go look. I don't think we've got really a lot of structure over here to adjust. It may hold here. See, this could be a place to short, and this was in there before. This may hold here. We may take out the overnight high, and then that's as far as it goes, and it comes on down. But if we keep going, how about that? Now we've got the R1. I think that's a new R1. Forget whether it's calculated, at the new session. Yeah, it should be. This should be the new R1. So there's the R1. Or wait, maybe not, because the pivot point was. No, that must be today's R1, because the pivot point, I think, is still where it was supposed to be. So, well, how about that? We've got these. Like, I was not even looking at whether these things were going to be there. Like, this would indicate to me now against this naked VPOC, this area, it looked like a lot of selling had come in here before, at least relative to the buying that was going on. The sellers prevailed. I might want to try short, not too far in there or on the edge, take a little risk. But there's always a possibility that you get sucked into this area that, it holds and you're going to the other side of that area. That's just a safety tip. Okay. Where's our, Poor high. Okay, poor high from 12.19. So we got that to look forward to. So these dots, this would indicate that was a prior resistance pivot. I don't know. I'm confused as to whether that's something I have to go look. I'm not sure. I don't have the pivots written down of where the pivots were today. But when we get above it, this becomes, if we get above it and hold, this becomes blue. Now, I would want to see some other reason. Well, there is one. Let's put it in here. I want to put it in here to make sure. We got the value area high. See how that works? You got the top of this distribution. You got the value area high. You got the bottom of this, little volume distribution. So it's potential to hold, and we create another distribution up here. And eventually the volume, the VPOC and the value area would open. So what are we going to gap up tomorrow? Possible. Now it's time to take a look at the news for tomorrow. So let me open this. Stand by here. I'll have to do it over here. All right, throughout the night, we're looking at Australian news, building permits. It's not too market moving. I think that might have already happened. No, it's 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Building permits year-over-year. There's a speech in an hour and a half by Trump. Okay, now that's a big deal. So depending on what he says, we could see this thing go bananas to the downside, or maybe the upside. I really don't know. I don't know how to read that sometimes. I just have to watch, see what happens. But we got a lot to take back. And one thing I want to point out is that this I didn't talk about earlier. This structure, look at the little, bumps. It's not orderly, not an orderly market. That's what that means. A little healthier down here, it looks like. But, you could see this truck on back through here. If there's a liquidation break, how far will it go? I don't know. But remember, and I'll just do this for the sake of somebody who hadn't seen the prior videos, we've got this open-ended CLO. Now, I don't remember why I have this blue, the support area here, probably the bottom of this distribution and the overnight TPOC. But if it's coming down here, they're gonna pop that low. Okay, I put that there, this morning. You got the low from Monday. You got the overnight low from Sunday night. I don't know why I have an extra little circle here. Hope it didn't slide over from somewhere it needs to be. And then you've got other stuff, which is going to jump here in a minute if I'm not careful. First of all, you got all these single prints, we could see a big swing back down. Here you got this low. It's been unrequited low. I like that. I'm going to use that. We've got an unrequited low. I found my new word. Okay, so, all right. Let's look at the daily chart again. Always good to go look back at that. Now I'm going to turn it to bars again. Easier on the eyes for a minute. I'm going to make these smaller now. They're not as important to just make these ones. We all remember that now. I've talked about them. They're a little, the yellow color is a little harsh. Why is this not? All right. Well, I don't know why it's not doing that, but I think because this one's in the way. That's why. I'll move this out of the way. Oh, yeah. Line width 1. Why isn't it? Okay, there must be 2 lines there. Let me move it. And I was right. Might even be more than that. Okay, there we go. I'll delete this one. And there's this one. Okay, all that just to make it a little easier on the eyes. Like there's Australian news. I don't think it'll make much difference, but you never know. Okay, put that back in shape. So, you know, will we see a are we going to see a drop to the downside, like, you know, like this, you know, a big bar that takes back out those lows and everything? Hey, it can happen. I can kind of see it, and then we kind of have a bigger head and shoulders pattern. I've seen there's a pattern. I don't, you know, I'm gonna have to come up with a name with it, where it's sort of a head and shoulders within a head and shoulders. Like there's this little buried head and shoulder, but it's a bigger. If you got to follow my little white arrow, a bigger head and shoulder. Okay, and this um, shoulder could be really steep, or this part of it, whatever you want to call it. Um, yeah, this would be the shoulder part. The shoulder part would be very steep to the downside. I don't know. I think it all is going to hinge on that Trump news, you know, how they react to that. And you have any insights on that in the next hour and a half, please, and you happen to see this, please put it in the comments. I'll keep an eye on the notifications. That'll be interesting to, if somebody wants to put the splains on me. That's fine. I don't even know. I'm sure it's about the border, but I'm not sure what the, you know, let's say he says, I'm making some kind of executive decision and putting machine gun nests all along the border or something like that. You know, I think the market will probably drop off. If they reach some kind of deal, they've been keeping us in suspense in all the world stage, you know. So this resolution of some kind of deal and the government's going to open up again tomorrow or whatnot, well, probably we're going to keep on trucking to the upside here, you know. Okay, got to go. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell, get notifications. It'd be nice to have a little company here. Thank you very, very much, and hope you have a good evening.